No, no, John, do not turn the channel! Bertha, you've been stuck to this for a week. You need to turn the channel. I told you not to turn the channel for my favorite bear man! Listen, I understand the streams of Barley the Bear brings you comfort at night, Bertha, but you have a curfew, Bertha. You heard me, John! Put on my bear! I can't with you. Alright, whatever. You can go about your day. Do your thing. Whatever. Bear. Oh my god! Oh, Bertha, that your dentures? Did they fall out? Ugh. It's a good thing we have the Canadian healthcare system and not America's. You can get more dentures later. Hi, hello, I'm Token, and welcome back to the Devil's Advocates podcast. Today's topic is going to be about how retirement just should not exist at all. I'm going to go into what the expected retirement route usually is, and, the age and whatnot, the negatives of retiring, and then realistically what retirement should actually be if it didn't exist. For all of my videos, as per usual, you will find all of the links that I use and reference in the description of my YouTube video itself. So, what is the expected retirement? If you're an average individual, average Joe, let's say you don't even work, like you don't make six figures, you're just an average American and you want to retire. What's the expectation of that? But generally, retirement age is around like 60s or like their mid 60s. If you're working past that, you're generally working past the retirement age. And I also want to start this video by saying I'm not taking this from like a capitalistic view of like work until you die, you need to be a cog to the system. Absolutely not. I don't think that's a good idea at all. If you're like, take your PTO days. Take your PTO days. And when it comes to the expected retirement, usually, unless you've screwed over your kids a lot, generally it's expected for the family members to take care of their other family members as they age. Like your grandma's living in the same house as you. She has a grandparent. She has like a garden that she takes care of, that she goes out and walks with grandpa in. And generally, if you've reached retirement age and you can retire in America, given the economy and everything, it's also assumed that you already have a house. Now, there are different types of people who retire, of course. There are individuals who have family members that they live with and they take care of them. Or maybe they're even well off, like in their health enough to be able to live on their own and they just no longer show up to their workplace and they just don't work anymore and they're in good health and they own their things and they can upkeep everything without being a danger to themselves or others. And then there are the individuals who are thrown into retirement homes. Other ways that people may possibly be expected to retire is instead of doing a regular job that they did before, they may entirely just switch to their hobbies. Like maybe when they were younger, they desired to get into woodworking and to become a carpenter, but they didn't go down that path because they wanted to work as an engineer instead or something of the like. But then they gave up the dream. Or they wanted to write when they were younger, and then they chose to live the normal life to get, 9 to 5, yada, yada, yada. Now, retirement could also be a result. It's not necessarily because they want to retire, but it could be because of a physical ailment. Or like, let's say you served in the military or something and you got honorably discharged because you were wounded in battle, or you have something that has happened to you in which you are physically unable to work for the rest of your life. Now, for these individuals, I am not advocating for them to, go against any doctor's orders or mental health professionals' orders or anything like that. Of course, if you have evidence of it not being beneficial for you, don't, relax, alright? This is not the capitalistic hellscape of, oh my gosh, I have to work until I die, even if I have experienced sex, right? No, it's okay. This is all purely if you have the passion to continue to create. And even if you don't have the passion but the physical ability, I think you should try to find a passion in general. because it gives you purpose. Because if you retire without a purpose, you're going to turn into an aimless blob in the world. Now that we talked about that, we're going to go into the details of the negatives of retiring. We're going to go into real-world examples of individuals who have continued to work past the working age for them, and what we wouldn't have had in this life if those individuals had chosen to stop working and to stop finding purpose in their lives had they never done it. And then we're also going to go into the details as to how retirement is exactly negative with multiple studies that I'm referencing as well. The first one I'm going to talk about is Tolkien, the guy who wrote The Lord of the Rings. You want to know when that was published? When he was in like his mid-60s. It's either early to mid-60s. That's about retirement age. If he had decided, you know what, I did my 40 years. I'm going to just sit back and I'm going to have no purpose in life. From this point on, we wouldn't have The Lord of the Rings. It's like I mentioned earlier with the summoning of him from the ground from the pentagram of chicken made out of barbecue sauce. Had he not continued to work after the age of 60, we wouldn't have Kentucky Fried Chicken today. And I'd say he's generally, if you look up like old people who got successful, he's like the one that people bring up every single time. Be like, oh yeah, Colonel Sanders. And then another individual, had they not kept working, we would not have The Little House on the Prairie. Laura Wilder, she, had that published in her like 60s as well. So all of the studies that I'm using, usually whenever I cite studies, I'll be like, from here, from Harvard here, from this. I'm using a lot of sources today for this video. This might be one of my most source-heavy videos, and while I am still linking all of them, I am not going to go into, hey, this is from this place, this is from this place. I am providing all of the links as I usually do, but I am not going into that because there are several quotes that I would like to mention, and there's a lot of them, and I don't want to have to. I feel like it would be confusing more than anything. I am quoting USA Today, Harvard Health Publishing, the New York Times, and BBC as all of my resources throughout this video. Now we're going to go into the statistics regarding why retirement is negative. Not negative. Why retiring is negative. Of about 83,000 older adults over the course of 15 years found that those who worked past the traditional retirement age of 65 were up to 3 times more likely to report being in good health than those who did not. So continuing to work is very good for your health. It is. Now, it depends on what type of work that you do. This isn't one of the quotes that I'm going to do, but it is referencing an idea that they talk about. If it's continuously stressful work that you are doing for an extended period of time after having already had a stressful job for 40 years, that's not good for you. And that's not the type of jobs they're talking about when they're talking about the health benefits in the study. It's generally jobs that are less stressful, or at least less stressful than the job that they had previous. So not only does, continuous work lower your chances of dying, even if you work just 1 year over the expected retirement age, it has benefits. The study that I found regarding that says other studies have shown that for healthy retirees, a 1 year older age at retirement could correlate with an 11% lower risk of all causes of mortality. 11%! That's more than AI's likely to kill us! Among 5,422 individuals in the study, those who had retired were 40% more likely to have had a heart attack or stroke than those who were still working. I kid you not. I don't know the exact statistics of the heart attack where you have like an emotional heart attack from heartbreak, but I have a big feeling that 40% is a lot higher than literally having your heart broken. But many of these reasons is why retirement, as they've shown in the studies and whatnot, is ranked 10th among the 43 most stressful life events. The part of your life that you're supposed to be looking forward to throughout the entirety of it is on the most stressful events of your entire life. So I mean, technically you could bypass one of the most stressful events of your life by just never retiring. Statistic regarding retirement and why it's negative is one analysis of more than 8,000 retirees in Europe found that people's verbal memory, the ability to recall the set of words after a certain amount of time, generally declined faster once they retired compared with when they were working. So not only are you about to get a heart attack, more likely than having an emotional heartbreak attack from having your boyfriend or girlfriend break up with you, you're actually losing your cognitive abilities. Which, even before I made this video, the main reason I was going to make this and upload it to YouTube was because I don't see myself ever personally retiring from whatever it is, because I have so many interests. I'm gonna keep doing things until I die. And so my primary thesis for this was going to be don't retire. There's always more things that you could. There's so many things that you can enjoy or learn the skill of. But as I dug deeper into is there any health effects of this? I was just looking at it, and I was looking at all the studies I was looking at, and I was just like, wow, this is actually very concerning. And I don't understand why this is so normalized. If 40% of them get or they're 40% more likely to get heart attacks than the average individual just because they retire. That's crazy. And along with this, it found retirement increases the chances of suffering from clinical depression by around 40% and of having at least one diagnosed physical illness by 60%. Although I've provided many statistics as to why retirement is generally pretty negative, your health, your mental health, your cognitive abilities, but along with that, for some people, retirement is giving up their independence. They can't live on their own anymore if they go and live in a retirement home because of their health problems or some other financial issue that has led to them needing to be in a retirement home. Or even just individuals who live on their own and they need to have assisted help, like assisted living or whatever. Whenever individuals do end up in retirement homes, it can also lead to elder abuse. I'm not trying to make any claims about a specific retirement home. I'm not trying to take any shots. I don't know any specific retirement home brands. What brands? Oh my gosh. Imagine Supreme, but you got grandma's cookies and cream. I don't even know which shots I would take if I was going for. So I was going for specific, name brand retirement homes is crazy. But it is something that happens, and that is a negative. If you are retiring and you're like, I'm gonna go live in a retirement home, or I need assisted care to do this, or I need to do X, Y, or Z thing because I can't work anymore, or I don't work anymore. In the United States, it is estimated that over 10% of those aged 65 and older experience some form of elder abuse in a given year. And I'm not trying to say elder abuse is specific to retirement homes. They can happen anywhere. It can be in their actual home. There's several different places. And then, along with all of these factors, you lose your social circle. A lot of the time, the world is very busy, and how many of you still have a friend from when you were 5? Now, some people be like, of course I do. I have a ton of long childhood best friends that I have. I'm not trying to say that's irregular. There are individuals that do. But there are different lives that many people lead. And it can lead to factors that, people lose touch with one another. And then they have to rebuild their social circle in another place. And then along with losing your social circle, you can lose the ability to feel useful. And I think that is one of the reasons as to why depression can increase so greatly once you retire. Because if you're not working towards something, then what's the point? What's the purpose? Why am I waking up every day? Why am I waking up even though I don't have a job to go to? I don't have a task to complete. I don't have X, Y, or Z requirement to meet. It's just me and my thoughts. But if anything that Vsauce's video taught us from being socially isolated from everyone, you lose your mind pretty quickly. Or if you don't have a schedule or knowing when is night, when is day, and you're just with your thoughts, it's not good. You start losing it. You start oh no, there goes the fades of reality. No, there's also the sedentary lifestyle that would result in other health problems. While I say I don't think retirement should exist, I know that's not going to make people automatically be like, I'm gonna do things at my old age. Because although I'd like to think me yapping to a camera for 2 hours is going to make a difference, I think it's good to also have a realistic option. But for those who do retire and they don't continue to work and they don't find any other purpose, I would say at least for the health effects of not having your body slowly decay while you retire, I would say that individuals who have gardens that they tend to when they're old, or they go to those water aerobics, they play croquet, they still go and do those things actively, then that would definitely solve the physical ailment problem of getting an illness. The money that you put away to retire could not even be worth that much when you retire, which is a really depressing thing to think about, because you're just like, oh yes, this is my entire life's work, and I put it in a Roth IRA, I put it in the stocks, and I did all of it, I did everything right, and then guess what? The world's terrible, and inflation's made everything extremely expensive, and all of that was for nothing. So, Token, I hear you. Retiring is not only bad for me physically, mentally, socially, but just overall, what am I supposed to do about it? That's what everyone tells me to do. They tell me I need to work for 40 years, put my money in a Roth IRA, or stocks, or whatever, and then just sit and do all that stuff and then never work again when I'm 60. What do I do about that? My general opinion on what you should do instead of retiring is, let's say you do have the financial issue of oh, well, I can't necessarily go after my dreams because I have all of these responsibilities on me. I have a family to take care of, whether it just be a parent or, some family friend or something that's been really struggling or whatever. While I can understand why you need to have the practical route of I need to get my bills paid at the end of the day, alright? I need to get my bills paid. I think it's very important you get your bills paid. I say to continue to do whatever that thing is for as long as you can, and as long as it makes you happy. Because if you're doing it for 40 years and you're wow, this acting stuff is really not working out for me here, and you're just shooting into the dark for 40 years and it's genuinely crushing your soul, I don't think that's good for you. Not to say to give up on your dreams, but to be is this bringing me joy? As long as it makes you happy still, if you're still doing it for 40 years and you still haven't broken through, number one, I'm gonna admire that persistence a lot. If you're continuously doing that for 40 years, I admire the tenacity of it, because that's a feat in and of itself. Just continuing to show up every single day for 40 years to go and be an actor. Let's say it doesn't work out for you and whatnot. That's fine. You do the realistic job. You do that for how many years you need to do, and then you do retire from that job, but you don't retire in the totality of never working again. You still have that other time, and if you didn't get it while you were alive, while you were working that other job, I think it's really good for you to, at least stick to the same discipline that you had for the work the work ethic you had for that original job. Now you can apply that directly to whatever it is that you want to do. And I'm certain if you are working at least 40 hours a week on anything, and like you're applying yourself, like you're not staring at like while you can be like, oh yeah, I edited for like 40 hours this week, and then you stare at the DaVinci Resolve and just be like, yep, alright, I edited. No, if you're applying yourself, I am certain at least you would find another job within that, or whatever. Like, if you fell on hard times again, even after you've done the professional career and whatnot afterwards, and you needed to find work again, at that point, you would have a portfolio that you could work off of. If, let's say, you had, like, an artistic dream. If you didn't have an artistic dream, then I'm sure you'd have some form of, like, a material, like let's say you enjoyed coding, you liked video games or whatever, you would have stuff to show what you did during that time period. that would get rid of the negative effects of, hey, well, I'm socially isolated, I'm at a very increased risk, Reese's Pieces. That'll definitely lead to a heart attack for sure. That would negate the whole having a heart attack from not being able to work. Now, there's always the individuals that aren't going to retire that are still going to retire and be like, well, I worked, I did my years, yada yada yada. Alright, well, I'm gonna at least try to talk you, I'm gonna try to persuade you into possibly finding another purpose. Volunteer, do something of the like, because if you just sit around your house, or if you don't take care of your health or any of that, it literally is only going to negatively affect you. Now, again, I want to highlight the individuals who have worked for many, many years, and, let's take blue-collar workers, for example. I don't think if you've already worked strenuous jobs for the rest of your life, the continuance of working for whatever purpose or passion it is, I do think all of them should be very easy on your health. It should not be anything physically demanding in which you are being like manual labor or extreme stress like those air traffic controllers, because that will shorten your lifespan. One study that I am referencing about what they found that made retirement enjoyable and how I'm going to apply it to how I think retirement should be, they found that in order to find retirement enjoyable, one needed to forge a new social network. You don't just retire from the job, you retire from your daily contact with friends and colleagues, establishing a new social network. Now, for me personally, I would say just having a social network outside of work is beneficial, like those childhood friends and whatnot. But play activities such as golf, bridge, ballroom dancing, etc., can help you establish new friendships and reinforce old ones. And then being creative. Activating your creative side can help keep your brain healthy. Creativity can take many forms, from painting to gardening. So, tapping into creativity can also help you find new parts of yourself. And then to keep learning. Along with this, I want to bring up the idea of blue zones when it comes to retirement and aging and just getting getting older overall. Blue zones are a pretty good example of what I think retirement should be like, because they don't really retire. They live very purposeful lives. And if you haven't ever heard of what a blue zone is, I am given the great pleasure of enlightening you about what a blue zone is. Because when I learned about it, I was just like, what on earth is this? Blue zones have among the world's highest proportions of centaurs, 100 horses. No. octogenarians, people who live 100 years or more. Most residents live 7 to 10 years longer than the average American. On average, they also have lower rates of chronic diseases like cancers, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and dementia. But whenever we think about, retirement and having this continued sense of having purpose throughout your life, zones are a really great example of it, and why you shouldn't retire. They found that blue zones had 9 things in common overall. They ate a primarily plant-based diet. Now, I can't do that. I love chicken too much. I love meat. I can't do that. So I'm not. If I die earlier because I am one with Colonel Sanders, I consent to that 100%. Monitoring caloric intake, including doing intermittent fasting, avoiding alcohol entirely, or drinking in moderation, primarily red wine. When you hit 100, apparently your alcohol preference is that of a wine mom. Embracing a sense of purpose in their lives. Following a daily lifestyle that encourages natural, vigorous movement. Adopting some form of daily stress relief. Incorporating religion or spirituality. Yes, spit is my religion. Or spirituality in their lives. Establishing stable and extended family structures, such as young and old relatives living together. Developing supportive social networks and lifelong friendships. So, My Little Pony was correct. Friendship is magic, and apparently the goal to living a longer life. That's the end of the video today. I hope y'all enjoyed watching. What we went over today is what is the general expected route for retirement, the overall negatives of retirement, whether it be physical, mental, or psychological, realistically, what retirement should be, and how you should continue your passions to not only help your physical health, but your mental health, while choosing a less stressful occupation in your later years to even extend your lifespan as well. My name is Token. This is Theta. I hope y'all enjoyed watching, and we will see you all later. Token today, and this purgatory face call in to create my number awaits.